Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Lock, Foundation Disc Golf's weekly podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor and Konner. Today's episode is brought to you by True Classics. You can get 25% off at True Classic with promo code GRIPLOCK at trueclassictees.com. We got quite the episode today. We're doing it on Tuesday because we went to Charlotte, filmed some content yesterday, and we're just down there way longer than we intended, and we figured we didn't want to rush this episode, so we would just take care of it today so that you can get the USDGC recap that you deserve. And then we'll do some little Trevor's trivia, and then we obviously have got to talk about this PDGA survey that went out. And the Pro Tour Championship's happening this week, so tomorrow, Wednesday, will be our preview episode for the Pro Tour Championship, the last preview episode of the year. The offseason is upon us, but let's jump into this. USDGC and Throw Pink Women's, we combined them. USDGC went down this past weekend.
Indeed.
On FPO, we had Katrina Allen taking it down by 3 over Kristen Tatar. Kristen Tatar was able to finish, though, her podium perfect season. She didn't have a finish off the podium, except for I think she dropped out of one event. But like Pro Tour / majors that she played in, she did not finish off the podium because the only thing was this teeny open, and she DNF'd. That was when she got injured. So that was it. Everything else was first, second, or third for the entire season.
Yep.
Very impressive. And we noticed when I was filming debate night, she's already broke the FPO single season cash record without playing the Tour Championship yet. She's at 68,000.
Oh, wow.
And she missed 2 majors.
That's crazy.
That's just that's how much the purses have increased. B, that's how good she played.
Yeah.
And if she wins the Pro Tour Championship, the last year's record was set by Missy Gann at 67,000. She broke it last year after winning the Tour Championship.
She'll hit 6 figures?
She could hit 100,000. If she wins 35 grand, she'd have 103,000 in cash this year.
That's good stuff right there.
Yeah. So Kristen Tatar, absolutely incredible season. Obviously, we're not doing our what did we call them last year? Our Grip Locked Awards? Did we just call it Grip Locked Awards?
Did we end up doing Grip Locked Awards last year?
Yeah.
I don't feel like we
definitely did.
I don't remember. Did we?
We
100%.
talked about it, but we did like predictions, but I don't know if we did our own awards last year. We have to look back.
We definitely did because we gave it to Paige when the PDGA gave it to Kat, and we were like, that's ridiculous. And then
that's right.
They eventually did Player of the Year.
Yep.
So we're going to call them the Grippies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the week after the Pro Tour Championship will be the Grippies episode.
I love that.
Yeah.
Players are going to get their Grippies. Fascinating. Kristen Tatar, though,
Isn't that what they
has
used to
hers locked
call the things that went on your pencil to like help with the grip?
Yeah.
Didn't people
Grippies.
call them grippies?
I think it's
Probably.
called pencil grips.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or we'll hand out pencil grips.
Those things were hype.
But Kristen, anyways, has locked down Player of the Year. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, who's or what's. We'll talk about
Who's or
MPO.
what's.
There's some arguments that can be made, and there's obviously all the other. Yeah, there's some that can be made.
They can be made.
I never said they'd be heard or
Yes.
valid, but they can be made. FPO, there's not an argument. Like, if you don't think Kristen's Player of the Year, you're wrong.
I would say that it's a pretty similar situation with MPO.
No.
If you don't think Ricky is Player of the Year, you are wrong.
I would agree, but we'll save
So
that.
you said
we'll save
no,
that for
but
the
then you
episode.
just said you agree.
Well, but like, there's more of an argument. Like, what's the argument in FPO?
No, I agree.
You can't make
I agree,
one.
but I'm just
In
saying
MPO,
if
you can
if
at
you
least
say,
make-
if
well-
you say it's not Ricky, you are wrong, and there's no statistic to prove otherwise.
No, I'm just saying it depends on how much. In like MPO, you can at least be like, well, you can weigh a major, blah blah blah. In FPO, like,
Yeah.
there's not.
I guess if you count majors as like 3 wins.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In FPO, there's not even like the second is so far behind Kristen that like they can't even read the latitude 64.
Well,
on
how
their back.
how far away is Paige from Kristen? Let's talk about it.
2 miles. But we're gonna talk about it in the Grippies.
Okay,
episode.
I'm just saying
That's
because
for the
I
Grippies
feel like
episode.
it's closer than you're making seem.
No,
Like wins.
I refuse.
Wins and majors.
no, because Paige. Okay, you're gonna make me do this.
I'm honestly curious. I feel like
No,
we're,
because this is the
I'm
difference.
just being careful.
I feel like this should be next week's
This is
episode.
definitely, but this is what I'll read: 21st, 10th, 18th, 11th. Paige Pierce. That's it.
That is not good.
That's good enough for me.
But you picked
That's
it.
all I
You
need.
picked it. You picked something. I just want to know wins
Okay,
plus
let me
majors.
read Kristen's worst finish. Third.
No. I want wins plus majors.
Third. That's it.
Wins plus majors is what I want to know. I'm literally just curious, just to make sure we don't go down a rabbit trail and it's like actually really close.
There
wins
is
and
no argument against Kristen.
Well, there isn't
Tatar.
if you won't let me have the facts.
You can try, but there's not an argument against Kristen Tatar.
I don't
for Player
think
of the
there
Year.
is either. I just wanted to double check ourselves.
Well, that's not this episode, Trevor. That's what I was just saying, man. Don't make me do this. FPO, we had Kristen Tatar coming second, Katrina Allen win, Hannah Blomroos coming
I'm looking it
third.
up myself.
Next week, look it up next week. This
I
is
wanna-
a different
I-
episode.
I wanna
You're
know.
on the wrong episode, man.
I just want to know. Like,
Come
I'm
back
just
a week.
curious.
Come back a week so we can talk about the tournament that just happened.
I'm just curious.
But now you're going to go on a talking
No, I
point.
won't talk about it.
Okay, don't talk about what you see.
I'll just know for myself.
All right. We're going to let Trevor look it up.
I'm just curious. No, you can. I will keep tagging
I
in.
refuse to talk until you're a part of the show.
I am a part of the show. I just want to know. Like, I don't think that's. I'm curious. That was in the PDGA
The real Trevor
survey.
can't come to the phone right now. Did you get it?
I did get it, but I'm not talking until Trevor's right now.
Okay.
I like your sweatshirt, Konner.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I like Trevor's sweatshirt too.
No. I'll like Trevor's when he puts his phone down. Right now, I don't like Trevor's sweatshirt. I only like yours.
Who do you think wore it best?
You definitely were best.
Thanks, man.
Don't tell Trevor.
That means a lot to me. My pants are white.
They are. They look good.
I saw Ezra wore white pants yesterday.
Made
And I
you
was
wanna
like,
wear 'em.
dang. Yeah. The muscles didn't come with them. It was crazy.
That thing. You gotta eat a lot of beans. All right, so let's
Oh,
talk
okay,
through
cool.
Throw Pink Women's. Katrina Allen takes it down. Kristen Tatar in second. Hannah Blomroos came in third.
All I'm gonna say is, don't be surprised if Paige gets Player of the Year. That's all. And it probably shouldn't, but I'm just saying, don't be shocked.
I mean, we just talked about how now we got to talk about it.
No, we don't. We don't. We'll save. Well, that's just a teaser. That's just a teaser.
Just a little teaser.
Just a
No.
teaser.
Here's the stat.
Nope, teaser.
No, I'm talking about it now. We did it. We've done it. Here's the fact. PDGA will give their Player of the Year to someone, and 9 times out of 10, it will be wrong. Just like when they gave it to Katrina Allen last year.
I think Kristen should get it. I'm just saying, don't be shocked if they give it
Well,
to
it's
Paige based on
Kristen
what I just
didn't
saw.
play 2 majors. That's the whole thing.
I agree. Listen.
Trevor's
I
not
think,
saying she should
I
get
think
it.
Kristen
She's saying
Kristen
that.
should get it. Don't be shocked if she doesn't.
I won't be by
Okay,
any means because I
okay.
don't trust the
All
PDGA
I'm
Player
saying.
of the Year is a fake award.
All I'm saying.
Is all I'm saying.
I agree. All I'm saying.
I'm
is
talking
just
about
don't
the
be shocked.
grippies.
Yes,
the grippies,
no,
there's
Kristen-
not an argument. Kristen
you're
Tatar is
right.
the best player in the world. She's the Player of the Year.
Kristen will most likely get the grippy. I'm only saying most likely.
Most likely.
I'm
Why
only
are you
saying.
saying most likely?
I'm only saying most likely, so we don't give it out right on this show.
Kristen
That's all I'm
Tatar
saying.
owns the grippy. It is hers. No one else touches it.
Guys,
the
Hunter is
MPO
very defensive about Kristen Tatar.
Yes, because she had one of the greatest FPO seasons in the history
in the history
of the world. Because the only other
Of the
person,
world.
the last person to do it was Katrina Allen in 2015 against a much, much, much worse field.
Kat had that good of a season in 2015.
In 2015, yeah, I don't think she finished outside top 3 in 2015. And Kristen just did it against probably twice the field the Cat did.
We'll see you guys at the Grippies.
Yeah. Well, now I got to look up Katrina Allen in 2015. Oh my god. Yeah. See.
Wow.
Didn't finish outside top 3.
I want to
didn't
talk
know
about
But that was
USDGC.
2015. I do too, Konner. I
You weren't
do
even
too.
there, bro.
Dude,
Now that's uncalled
that's
for.
childish and gross.
We are like 5 minutes into this episode. And you've already offended every single listener. Every one of them. They're all offended.
You should have heard what he said before we
every
started
one of
recording.
them?
They're offended.
Why?
They're all Konner fans and they're all Kristen fans, and you've ticked every one of them off. And I'm sorry. Hey, guys, I apologize for Trevor. Katrina Allen takes it down. Kristen Tatar second. Hannah Blomroos third. Katrina made it more of an event than it should have been. Like going into round 3, it was kind of like done, and then she lost 7 strokes to Kristen Tatar, and it made you go, well, she could lose because she was up 6 going to the final round, and you're like, she just lost 7. She does it again. She loses by 1, but she only lost 3. There's
Kristen's
obviously
first
different
round was
mistakes that
just
happen.
So bad.
Yeah. Kristen lost the tournament for herself in the first round.
She did.
But she was able to battle back in. Paige Pierce, she's got to look in the mirror this offseason, I think, and figure some stuff out. Because obviously, yes, she had a great season. She won, probably 2 majors, Champions Cup.
2 majors and
European
I think
Open.
5 total wins.
Yeah, like she had a very good season. But for Paige, she had some very awful finishes. She came 21st at a major. She came 10th at a Pro Tour event, 18th at a playoff Pro
Well,
Tour event, 11th at this
the-
A tier that feels like a major.
The end of her season is the key there. I mean, she really went on a drought towards the end there.
Yeah, she won European Open, then went 4th, 3rd, 5th, 2nd, 5th, 18th, 3rd, and 11th at the real USWDGC.
One European Open with no Kristen.
Yeah, 1 year. Well, yeah, because also U.S. Women's there was no Kristen, and she came 21st, so she should have come 22nd. But yeah, so Paige, like, yes, did she have a great season? Yes.
So confusing.
But nowhere near the season she should have had.
No.
And a lot of it, I think, is forehand. There's also that weird part a few weeks ago where she just decided she doesn't want to win anymore, which is like super easy to say when you like are losing.
She's confusing.
But then the next week she was back in
is
contention.
literally parallel to Simon's this year.
A lot of it.
Where like they're either winning and like sometimes like looking dominant or they're just like getting crushed. Like what? I don't understand. Like
because Paige was like, she was in the mix until round 3. She shot 76 round 3. She went 66, 66, 76.
I totally understand that golf is like a game where you're going to have hot and cold streaks, but typically it's like when your game heats up, like you kind of stay up there for a few weeks. And like it's kind of like Simon and Paige will win and then drop off the earth.
Let's just call it like it is. In FPO, there is no reason for Paige Pierce to finish outside the top 7, I'll say.
I'd be generous.
We'll
say
go
10.
10.
10 is
but
generous.
there's no reason for a player of Paige Pierce's skill level in this field to finish outside the top 10.
You are right.
Period. And she did it multiple times this year. Because Kristen had some off weekends, and her worst finish was 3rd.
It's true.
And Kristen, skill-wise, if you take what Kristen's capable of and what Paige is capable of, they're both capable of basically very similar things.
It's really easy. So
very true.
Watching them in person pretty much confirmed what I had seen on coverage all year, which is it's very easy to see why Kristen succeeds in FPO, and it's because she plays essentially Sexton golf.
Yeah.
She plays the safest, like literally never throws aggressive shots, chips it inbounds everywhere, and just waits for everybody else to make mistakes, and she can putt well. Because like there are other players like Sarah Hokum who take similar approaches, not as good. Keep in mind, it doesn't even have a backhand really. But she can't putt. Like Kristen is accurate, doesn't throw far. Like I really was not impressed with her distance at all compared to like I was watching Henna and was throwing much further on that card. Even Kat, I think, was getting more distance. Doesn't really throw very far, but has smooth form, very accurate, and she makes putts. So like that is literally how Kristen is winning on FPO Tour, is just waiting for other people to mess up. Because right now the FPO field isn't deep enough to where, like an MPO, if you played that way, you're going to get beat by somebody who's just having an explosion of a weekend. Like you're going to get beat on almost every time. And at least like over 4 rounds, you can't play that way. FPO right now, if you play that way, like Kristen has this year, that's what your result is going to be. You're going to win a lot of events, and then you're
always going to be in contention.
Right, and then you're going to have some events like this where you're just making mistakes in your game plan, and it's not going to work out, but like you're still going to finish right there on the doorstep. So that is what I've learned from FPO, especially seeing it in person, is like it's very clear to see what Kristen's strategy is. I did see her throw pretty much the worst forehand of all time when she was climbing back into the tournament on hole 12. And all she had to do was chip it up like 150 feet, and she like turfed it out of bounds. So that made me kind of sad. But I mean, yeah, Kat executed. I'll hand it to Kat because like, yeah, she was kind of, choking it away a little bit. And I thought for sure, I was like, as soon as Kristen fired off that first bad round, I was like, yeah, but let's not
can't count her out.
Let's not overreact here. And sure enough, she climbed back into it. And I kind of thought Katrina might crumble. But she has the major champion pedigree there. She's been there, done that. So I believe she's a U.S. champ as well.
I believe so.
Kat.
Yeah.
So, she was able to hold her off, made some important putts that I saw down the stretch to like hold Kristen off and executed enough. She knew what she had to do. She had the lead. So
it's a darn shame that this wasn't a major.
Yeah.
For FPO. It doesn't.
It is so funny.
It makes no sense. Every year.
The gallery out there is like 500 deep. Like
every year.
It's crazy.
Without fail, U.S. Women's comes. Players are vocal about how it's not ran well, how it's not living up to the standard they see elsewhere, how the courses aren't whatever. Like this year, it was like a pitch and putt championship this year. Every year that happens. And then recently, every year they come to Throw Pink Women's, and it is like the best ran event, major field, major purse even. Like an 8-tier paid a winner $10,000. Like major gallery, great fan experience,
it's very
all of it. And it's like, swallow your pride, PDGA. Make this thing a major. Like, U.S. Women's exists. It's right here. You want to get rid of all the complaints and everything you hear? Easy. You don't even have to run the event. Let me tell you, there's a company, U.S. Disc Golf, that's already running it for you.
Yeah.
They already got it taken care of. You'll be the hero, you PDGA. All you have to do is just give up a little bit of control. and you're the hero.
And you're the hero.
Or you can just, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
It is. It's interesting.
Batman.
Well, it's interesting because like I get that. I understand. Like I guess they have the angle of like they want to have a separate event for the women, but in the same breath, I don't believe the men have a separate event.
Well, USDGC technically,
but it's still being played alongside the women.
It hasn't always, but
okay. But I'm just saying, like
that's
I don't.
The root of it made sense.
I understand that, but at the same time, even though you had a separate event for the women, the gallery at USDGC for the women was way bigger.
There's going to be more exposure.
Yeah, like it's still a huge event. People are showing up. Like I mean, I wanted to get there to watch the FPO lead card tee off. I did. I drove super early in the morning. Like, if I'm going into town to USDGC and the women are playing, I'm gonna watch. Like I want to see it. So like I don't really think there's an issue there. I think that event gets a ton of attention. It's not like I don't really feel like it's being overshadowed. Like it owns the first half of the day. The second half of the day is for the men. So, I don't know. I get, the PDGA, they're stubborn. We know this.
Well, I think part of it is like, because there is a separate thing that we talk about with USDGC, the flip side of the coin, where like the PDGA should own their own majors, right? So like it is weird a manufacturer owning it.
I don't want the PDGA to own anything, man.
But this year, there was Discraft there. People were vending Castaplast. Like it wasn't just the end of a major.
No.
This year. Like it felt more like a normal major.
It's become more, it feels more like a US disc golf major.
Yeah. To where
it felt like that way more than an end of a major this year.
Like it just didn't feel like an end of a major this year, which is what was the only problem with Innova running it. Was before like other companies couldn't get involved and make it as big as it could be. This year we saw Discraft there. We saw Castablast there.
What all the dynamic is there with like the relationship with US Disc Golf and Innova and like what the whole plan is. I don't know. USDGC is a very complex event. There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
And it is like, I would love to know like what the spend was, like average spend and total spend at that venue. But as far as the spectators and the vending was concerned, I'll be darned if, I don't want to throw out a crazy number, but if there had to be going through over 4 days, had to be probably 5,000 people that went through. Would you say probably more?
I think there was close to 5,000 people on the ground Sunday, maybe more than that.
I'll be darned if average spend wasn't close to $50 because of merchandise and food, and that doesn't even count gate prices like to get in. That right there is like, that event is like what a revenue stream for a pro tour could and should look like at like every event. It'd be awesome if that's what. If events are run to a certain standard, this is what you can achieve, basically.
Yeah.
If they're run in the correct areas, right? We're getting the Charlotte crowd. If they're run at the right venues and if they are promoted correctly and planned correctly, this is the potential. Because, this is a major, so there's always a bit more draw. But I'm telling you right now, just throw out one. If the Waco Charity Open was that environment, you copy and pasted it, regardless of it being a major, it's still a pro tour. People would go out in droves.
Absolutely.
Like it's the environment that makes it cool in the venue. So like that's just a good picture of how much more there can be money in disc golf. Because think about the sponsorship activation opportunities there with so many eyeballs. I mean, just swarms of people out there.
Well, you saw like even because Innova recently they've had this like championship village thing form. Right?
Yeah.
And then in that, there's different activities for people to do. So, like, last year you saw the, like, My Pocket Radar or whatever. Yeah. Like, now there's even more opportunities for people to be like, hey, I can sponsor this event and I can show up to vend. And at my vending tent, I have this field behind it that I can do X, Y, or Z with my product.
Yeah.
And, like, there was a spectator course that was being played. There was a edge disc golf, like basically mini golf course.
Yeah, it's insane.
That was being played. There was, you could test your speed on a speed radar gun. There was like a junior putting championship going on in the championship village. Like you showed up there and there was never a dull moment. Like if you got bored of watching disc golf, which I don't know how you would, but if you
could
did,
get lost in that vendor's village for an hour and a half.
You could go in there and easily. And there was coverage being played there.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like you're missing the tournament. You're there shopping and something happens. You turn around and watch the screen and you see whatever went down.
And here's the kicker. This is also kind of a future model because the reason this is able to be like this is because you have the US Disc Golf and Innova entities planning this all year. It's not reliant on the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Because the Pro Tour right now, they have a big hand in making a lot of events all over the country happen. Future model, you would want more help from committees. Let's say, the naming rights, the presenting sponsors of events, you'd want them, helping put on, or like the difference between like golf and disc golf is a lot of times you have local clubs, but you don't have, businesses behind golf courses, and then committees, huge amounts of staff behind presenting sponsors that can help. Like you need help from people that it's their one project all year long to put on an event, not just the Pro Tour who has to focus on a lot of events if you want to have things like this.
Yeah.
You can't just have the Pro Tour. The Pro Tour, they do not have the resources to be able to do this and plan this for every Pro Tour stop. Yeah. So that's why this is kind of another future model look, is because you have entities that this is their focus, and this is what can happen. Because while, it is a crazy logistical thing to put on, it's not impossible.
No.
Getting vendors, getting food trucks, setting things up, doing everything professional, having a really good volunteer staff, it's in a year, very doable. A lot of it just depends on having a venue that works. But yeah, it's incredible. It's different than everything else.
No, absolutely. And some tournaments try it, but like it's tough because like even I feel like Ledgestone has a pretty good like vendor village and stuff, but the tough part is it's an AM tournament and a pro tournament, so it's not all at one spot. So like a lot of times their vendor village is like one night, it's at a different location, and like you have to go to it. Whereas what was so good about this was as the event was going on, everyone was there for one thing, and that was the USDGC / Throw Pink Women. We put them all together. USDGC, right? Everyone's there for that. FPO lead card finishes, or maybe they go to a stretch of holes that you don't want to watch and you're going to catch them on 16 or whatever. Same for MPO. Like FPO finishes, you have like an hour till MPO lead card tees off. A lot of other courses, that's downtime. It's like, do you want to go grab food? Do you want to just like sit by hole one and wait? Like we're twiddling our thumbs. What do we do? USDGC, that wasn't the case. There wasn't downtime unless like if you wanted to be bored, sure. But like there was enough for everyone to do, and it was all there.
Yeah.
So like you showed up, and like I brought my wife and my son, obviously. After the weekend, it's going to be very easy for me to convince my wife to come back next year because it's a super easy course to walk. You can watch like 4 holes at a time without really moving if you want.
Yeah.
You can go into the championship village, get food, sit down, take the load off. You can shop if you want. Like
Winthrop.
Very easy convincing to get a non-disc golf fan to love disc golf showing up at that event.
For sure.
Winthrop, it is a darn shame because like Winthrop, we know it's probably not a forever solution.
No.
But
it's
the effectiveness,
so
the effectiveness of that venue, I just can't even express how insanely well it's laid out. They are literally, you have a road behind hole 5 that goes up one side and then further down and up another. Like there's 2 uphill roads that go up to like hole 1-3's fairway, and then there's another one that goes like up towards 17. Like those 3 roads cover like the entirety of the front 9 basically.
Yeah.
You get all the way to hole 8's tee. And then you can also see 16's green from there. And then you go walk down another path, and that takes you all the way through the back 9 with the exception of like hole 15. So you can so easily navigate that course as a spectator. The layout of the course is incredibly effective for very entertaining disc golf. The viewing angles are perfect. Like it can handle the only hole that is like really flawed as far as not the hole design. It's a good hole, but as far as the spectator situation is 18
and 8.
8's bad, but at least it's hole 8 and not hole 18. Hole 18 is a real bummer.
Yes.
Because I was like there pretty early, like hustling up there. I didn't see a thing that
you
happened
still can't
on hole
see
18.
it. Yeah.
Like it is a
They
phenomenal.
need grandstands.
Yes.
They need to move.
Yes.
This is Brody's idea. They need to move the scoring tent, all of that.
Yes.
Get that in the house.
And do grandstands.
All on that hillside.
That you're right. They do need to do that because the grandstands on hole 7 were cool, and I'm sure it was easier to get them there than up there on hole 18. Well, maybe there's a road that goes there. They could. But they're not necessary because hole 7 is very heavily spectated, and I get that was like a VIP seating option. But there's a lot of viewing angle on hole 7, a lot of it. Because that's the other thing. A lot of the holes, there's such huge stretches of road where like green to fairway or green to basket. No, tee to basket. Thank you. Tee to basket. You can see everything that's happening on the hole, and you can line anywhere on there, and you have a good view. So yeah, it is. it's basically going to be very hard to replicate whenever it happens down the road. Not only because the course is, like I said, like a really good course, but because like it just somehow ended up being a perfect situation. Like it really is laid out beautifully.
I think it's people hate on the course design all they want, and most of it goes in one ear and out the other for me because it creates very dramatic disc golf. MPO and FPO year after year. Very dramatic disc golf. It never feels like it's over. And when you're on the grounds, when you're there, it is the best tournament to be a spectator at because it's beautifully designed. Like, obviously, there's other parts of the course. We saw it before. Like, they could go onto the golf course. They could go other places. And when they choose to, it ruins it. And I think they're realizing that because, like, the way it's laid out, it just flows so perfectly that you can walk. Like, you can have 5,000 plus people out there, and every person can see everything that's going on, and they can see it however they want to. Yeah. So, like, for Liz and I...
You can jump around,
We had a baby. Yeah. We didn't want to be up close to people where our baby might cry. So we were watching from hundreds of feet away every shot.
Yeah.
And I still had a very enjoyable time. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, that's just not possible at other pro tours. Like, I could not take Luca to Ledgestone.
It's such
because
a
the only way I get to watch disc golf is if I'm right up on people, and I can't have a 2-month-old right up on people. Like, that's not.
It honestly, I kept thinking about it. Like, I think mostly about that. You know, obviously the long paths along, like 9, 10, 11, 12, that stretch. That's not hard to replicate because that is just we're lining the fairway. But that stretch and then on the front 9 where you have the road behind 5 and then the 2 uphills that let you get around that front 9 really quick. It almost made me think like maybe that is like a future for like course design to try and lay out courses that way with like paths or roads that just like kind of like intersect with the course in a way that obviously you're never walking across a fairway or anything, but it does it so beautifully that you're able to travel around. Like I think that the course is almost trying to replicate that model for spectators to where it's not just one straight line taking you through the course. There are interwoven roads and things because disc golf holes are not that big compared to like a golf hole. So you can afford to stick a road here and then have a couple holes on that next plot of land and then a road there. Like it's not that difficult. And it makes things like shuttling people and getting the camera guys shuttled around or the players shuttled around. Having those roads is actually very helpful. And aesthetically, they're fine. They don't do anything really.
Yeah.
I think USDGC really looks great. I think that property looks perfectly fine. I think it's a great balance of, you know, some old school disc golf and more of some of the open stuff. It really, like, I know they probably didn't even try to land it at such a good venue that works this long down the road because they never could have imagined.
No, they couldn't imagine.
What it was going to be. But
props to them.
Worked out.
The way that they have adjusted this event over the years, even like this year where we parked as day pass holders,
not bad.
It wasn't bad, no. And like
5-minute walk.
It could handle more people than they were there this year.
Yeah,
and like that's something that's going to be tough. Is like if as many people showed up to USDGC. Showed up at some of these other Pro Tour venues, it couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
It just couldn't. There's no way. And like that is a real problem for disc golf. But USDGC, the way they've modeled it, they can bring in so much money once a year that they can afford to go buy. Like it would make logistical sense for any of our US disc golf, whoever did it, to go buy enough land to be able to replicate this property, replicate something similar in the Charlotte area. And know we're going to be able to afford this land and make money.
Yeah.
Because, like, I forget, I don't know if they ever made it public, so I'm not going to say the number, but they're paying a pretty penny to rent out Winthrop's campus.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you don't have to you don't have to have insider knowledge to know that, but they're clearly paying a pretty penny for that.
Right.
And it would not be, I think it would probably be a low number. Actually, I know it has to be a low number to estimate that they brought in $1 million this weekend.
Yeah,
and fan activation
and $1 million. There's a huge plot of land for you right there.
Yeah, and now obviously there's a lot of logistical money that goes into it, but like that also doesn't include like how many people are paying to vend, all of this stuff going in. Like US Disc Golf, you can guarantee $1 million a weekend every year, and that's with disc golf growing. And then plus you could keep the course set up all year
tourism.
To where it's a pay to play. Because think how many people would come play Winthrop if the ropes were up year round.
So many. I've had so many people ask about that. If That's the big thing. If they were to, the problem is obviously when they first do it, it's going to be tough. But here, they almost need to get ahead of. I think that this is going to start happening more private courses like this. So I think they need to get ahead and do it soon to where it's still like almost kind of a first. Oh my gosh, it's a disc golf exclusive property, because I don't really believe, other than like Eagles Crossing, they don't really exist.
But even like I'm thinking through Eagles Crossing, if that many people showed up to Eagles Crossing, it'd be a problem.
Parking wise, yeah.
Parking wise would be a problem.
They could build it out. There's enough land that they could build
also,
parking better.
walking that course as a spectator,
no, you would want.
Where would you put the championship village?
You would want something more open, for sure.
The layout. That's what I'm saying. Is like the more I think through the course design of USDGC after like this was my first year that I didn't just walk with a card the whole time. This was my first year I showed up to USDGC and I floated. I was all over that course, back and forth, and I was in the championship village. And I like experienced it in a whole new light, and I was like, the course design and layout of this place is insane.
It's perfect.
Like that is like to recreate that is going to be so hard. And I don't think, I'm going to say it, there isn't a course that exists that can handle like it. I get that people don't like USDGC when you're watching it just on camera. I get that. If you get on the ground, you'll understand it a lot more, that like it is the perfect disc golf venue in a lot of ways. If you could remove the baseball fields, the Coliseum, if you could take that stuff out and you just have the layout of how it's laid out.
It does like
it's
loops.
perfect.
It loops on itself
multiple times.
times.
It's like 6-hole loops, basically. Right. Like 1 through 7 there, and then right across the street is where like you go 8 out to like 13, kind of loops right back to Championship Village. 8T and 13's basket are like right next to the championship, or I guess it's 14's
and
basket.
It loops back on 16.
But 13 and 14 are right next to each other. And then you go, from 14, 15, 16 right back, and then 17, 18's right where 1 and 2 are.
Yeah,
like
it
it's
loops
just like
on
a
itself
bunch of
so
tiny
many
loops
times
to where you're always within a minute walk of the Championship Village.
Yeah, I love that. That's
and
just
like
so
that's
unique.
just such a hard design.
I think that
to
the
do.
only way. I think the only answer is to have a private plot of land where they try to recreate this course.
I literally think they have to. I think they have
well,
to be like.
I don't think they should.
I don't think you recreate the exact course, but I think layout wise. Like we go 1, 2,
I think
3.
there's certain holes they should recreate.
Yes,
because
like
you
hole
can.
7, very easy. Recreate,
and you can
keep
recreate hole 17.
And 17, you can
I was
recreate.
gonna say, I think it'd be smart for them to.
But the layout,
recreate like you could recreate the layout as far as the feel. So like hole 5 is still a par 5 with a water carry. Hole 17, you still have hay bales. It's still a chip forehand, very similar. Like you could recreate a lot of, like hole 6 still has a low ceiling skip with a sand green with water on the left. It'd be easy to like get the feel of the signature holes down, because then a lot of those holes, your 11 and 12, for example, all you need is a long stretch of land and some OB.
Yeah, like those holes you can fully redesign.
There's a lot of holes that would be easy
Brody
to
had
recreate.
an interesting take, which was he thinks that hole 5, if they ever redesign this place, like if they take it somewhere, the hole 5 style hole should be hole 16.
Hole 16?
Because he's basically like that
I
early in the round.
I would rather see it on
it's
the
tough,
back
like
nine.
because realistically, hole 5, why do you go for the eagle?
Yes.
But if it's hole 16, now you have the decision of like you could go for the eagle when late in the round.
I agree. I think that hole 5, obviously it's still an entertaining shot and people do mess up, but I was watching people shred that hole for most of the time especially because the wind wasn't up.
Yeah.
I would like there to be more incentive to go for the eagle, even if it's moving the tee up a little bit, something. And I think you're right. Later in the round, because like hole 16 is a good hole, but imagine if hole 16 was hole 5.
Yeah, it's a bruise.
It would be incredible.
If you flipped them. Because like hole 16 is fine. Just put it early in the round.
Yeah, it would be incredible.
Yeah, but regardless, enough USDGC simping. If you're anywhere within driving distance to get to it while it's still at Winthrop, you got to.
Yeah, it's a must do. It's incredible.
Even the gimmicky stuff, when they first do it, I hate it. Like the mozzarella sticks, they kind of grow on me over time. They weren't really out there this year. Mm-hmm. Were they out there at all? Maybe on 16?
There was on 16, but everything looked like a little pine trees.
But it grows on me this year. Like this year, I didn't mind it as much. And like they make different changes. Like the grass length this year was huge.
I love that.
Yeah,
they made it so much easier to watch.
And like that's what I'm talking about. Is USDGC does stuff like this where you show up to the course and I can see the future of disc golf. It was right in front of me. I understand where the sport goes.
It seems like you step into the future.
Yeah, you walk in and I'm like, this is what every pro tour is going to be like 5 years from now.
Like as a player, you've got to be circling that event every single year. Like there's no
as a fan,
there's no way you're looking forward to anything else more than that.
If you're a disc golfer and you're looking for a vacation and you're just like, hey, I want something where I want to go watch some disc golf. What tournament do I go to? And you're willing to fly anywhere, USDGC is the answer.
Yeah.
And I think it gets a bad rep because people don't like sometimes how much OB and how much blah blah blah, but
It's entertaining.
But it's entertaining every single year. We had it come down to 17 again this year.
And they only do it once a year.
They only do it once a year. And when you get on that property, like when you're there as a spectator, like I said, it is the future of disc golf. Like there's no way around it. No, I'm not talking the open, blah, 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 that stuff. The stuff that some people hate. I'm saying the flow and the experience as a fan, that is what grows disc golf.
And personally, I've never thought the OB is excessive because A, on a lot of the holes with the most OB, they're playing hazard rules, so they're literally getting the distance.
Yeah.
And B, look at what the guys were shooting that had to win. They're shooting like 12 unders coming in. You're gonna tell me that the course, I know there was not really any wind, but you're going to tell me that course is like excessive OB and too hard when you got guys shooting 10, 11, 12 under? Of course it's not.
No, and the OB is what makes the tournament because it's never over.
I wouldn't have a problem if there was that amount of OB on every course on the Pro Tour. It would not bother me one bit.
I fully agree.
Like,
you get punished for bad shots at USDGC.
Yeah, you
get rewarded for good ones.
It's fair.
Well, what Brody said was great was like it mentally exhaust you because like there is not a shot you can relax on.
You can't ease up. No, there's
and
no.
That's what creates
that's
such
why
good disc golf.
There's so much tension and so much emotion in it. I watched the whole final round on TV this year because I wasn't there obviously, and maybe it's because I've been on the grounds in the past and I know the course like the back of my hand and like it means so much to me. But watching it, I mean, it still was
the grass length really helped this year.
It did.
Because I do say
it made it a lot easier to watch.
On coverage with the ropes and the stakes, if you don't know the course, it can get very confusing.
Yeah, because you just see like rope in the distance crossing.
The
but
grass
the grass
length
made it way better.
Like when a disc rolled, I was watching because again I was watching far away, and so like on hole 14 for instance, Calvin on day 3 I think it was someone on day 3 threw one. And it like slowly rolled into the hazard, and like even from like 300 plus feet away, not a question in my mind it was in the hazard. Right. So it was so obvious. It's just like the disc is in short grass and boop into the long grass.
That was a great upgrade for this year.
That's the future of disc golf too.
Yeah,
like that.
But I was saying
the coverage last year wasn't quite as good. The grass length.
It wasn't exact. It wasn't as drastic.
Yeah, it wasn't as drastic.
This year it was definitely an improvement. But I still like watching it on DGN. Like it was awesome. Like it still felt so good.
Man. But. Yeah. MPO. Thrilling finish. The youngest.
Oh, it's so awesome.
I was asking this question to Brody. Brody didn't know the answer. Gannon's got to be the youngest major champion ever, right? Like, is the PDGA not calling him that just because of like junior worlds and stuff?
Well, he's the youngest to win USDGC.
But like, what pro major has a 16-year-old won?
I don't know. I saw them throwing out the youngest ever to win USDGC.
Like, I think the only reason they're not saying youngest to win a major is because they're counting Am Worlds, Junior Worlds, stuff like that.
Probably.
That's the only thing that makes sense in my head. Which like those are majors, but it's a pro major. Like,
well, I feel like there was a really young world champion back in the day.
Was it a 16-year-old though?
He's 17.
Yeah, I'm saying to be younger than him.
Younger, yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like there was a
who.
Look it up.
Is there? How do you look it up? Is more what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't
PDGA. Oh man, this came up before.
Just tweet this came up in like and say, "Is Gannon Burr the youngest major
PDGA,
winner?"
Man, I don't want to talk to him.
This came up in a trivia question.
The youngest.
There it is.
17, 1984.
So he's tied for youngest. That's
but I guess it depends on how old he was. Like how many days?
Right.
17 and how many days? Sam Ferris, 1984 is what it was.
Yeah, I remember this before, so that's probably why they weren't throwing
Sam
out
Ferris.
that one.
All right, that's impressive. All right, there it is. Okay, good to know. I was like thinking, I was like, how is someone younger than him have won something? But youngest U.S. champ, 17 years old, and the kid, it felt like a long time coming, which is just weird.
It did feel like that.
Just because he's been knocking on the door all season.
Yeah, and he finally did it, and he did it in such a clutch fashion.
Tied the course record.
He just was like given.
Not even tied the course record with a double bogey.
Yeah, he was giving putts like hole 14 death putt. If he misses that putt, he loses.
How crazy is it that literally just like Paul last year, 14 and 17 ended up being the putts that needed to make.
Yeah.
Literally ended up being the only difference is he had to make, unlike Paul last year, he had to make birdie on 18.
Yeah,
but it was so similar.
Because like also the other thing that was happening was like Nicholas on 14 and 17 was inside of Gannon. In a way that so like Gannon makes this huge putt on 14 and Nicholas was relatively close. Like it was pretty surprising.
That was probably like a
30
footer. It was
it wasn't, but it wasn't a nervous putt though because he definitely had confidence because he hit band. I think it was just a.
I mean you can be nervous and hit band.
Well, yeah, but like it still was like.
I think if Gannon,
it wasn't like it slipped out of his hand.
I think if Gannon
caged.
misses it, Nicholas makes that. Obviously, that's a big what if. There's no way to know.
I would agree. I mean,
But
it would
17, even Nicholas was within a range that like
that one he threw a bad putt.
he probably wants it back. 17.
Yeah, but how? I mean, that putt that'd be so tough.
Yeah, the dude just banged it.
But that was the first time you saw emotion from him throughout the whole round. He was a robot that just threw good shots. That was just like it was just the whole time. I felt like Gannon would keep on throwing good shots. I was like, yes, dude, he's winning this thing. But then Nicholas would just like he wouldn't mess up.
No, even
he wouldn't mess up.
18, Nicholas put it short of Gannon. So like we were watching from across the lake, my wife and I told Liz, I was like, this is crucial because Nicholas basically decides the tournament here. If Nicholas gets up and down for birdie, he forces Gannon to. But if Nicholas goes OB or does anything, then Gannon can just lay up, it's over. And then Nicholas threw the shot, and I was like, that's it. Gannon's got to get a birdie here. And where they were at was a very tough spot to birdie from. It's not like they were Calvin Heimberg, flex over the tree, jump putt distance.
It's always a tough birdie unless you throw like a stupid drive like that.
And Gannon didn't have good footing either. He was in a little valley that he had to run through.
Now, on camera, I was watching it when it landed. It did not look like he ended up where he ended up. Am I wrong?
It looks like sight, it didn't look like a gimme.
No, like when the way it cut rolled, I thought it went off the first shot.
Yeah, same. I thought
it just kind of went out of sight, but it was just sitting right next to the center box.
Because then Nicholas putted first. I was like, Gannon's got to be like close.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was parked either.
Whenever everybody started cheering, I was confused because I thought he was like he had possibly rolled down the hill or something.
I thought he was going to have like that shoestrick putt in 2014.
I thought he had a tester for sure.
And I mean, it's still in that situation. I'm missing that putt every time.
Because somebody else tapped out, and I was like, oh, he's parked. Like he must be parked. It's over.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't see anything. I did hear because like from my view, we
Not
saw
like he would have missed the putt anyway. If 100 feet away.
We saw Gannon's putt skip or his upshot skip around the corner. We couldn't really tell anything else, but apparently he like threw it like pretty much through one of the trees.
No, he hit a tree.
Yeah.
The tree on the right.
So like he got kind of fortunate.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the mistake is to miss wide.
He did. As soon as he got through the tree and started hyzering, he like clapped and went, yes.
Yeah.
So like he was very confident it was a good shot.
But hey,
that is a tough shot.
And then everyone started chanting Gannon, and it was a beautiful moment.
It was. That was crazy.
I mean, a 17-year-old major
Gannon,
champion.
I'm telling you right now.
I was screaming. Everybody in my neighborhood could hear me screaming whenever he made that
Gannon
putt
Burr
on 14.
deserves a very large contract.
Gannon's going to get the bag.
I mean, imagine being 17 years old, right? And you just won $25,000 at a disc golf tournament.
He won $25,000?
$25,000. Yeah.
I didn't realize that's the biggest one they've ever had.
Got to be up there, yeah.
Or did they do, what was it last year?
20, I think.
20? Man, that's 25
I thought it was so
grand.
funny. In that interview,
Dude.
they're like, so what are you going to do next? And he was like,
winnings up
well, I've been pushing off a lot of schoolwork, so I got to do a lot of homework tomorrow.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, like that's so
graduate.
like
what the heck?
just
I would be
imagine being
dropping
17
right
years
out.
old and just getting 25
See
grand.
you later. What is his earnings at now this year? Because he was already
Definitely
pretty high
wouldn't be
up
going
there.
to college.
No, surely
He's definitely not going to college.
He has
He told me
no
he couldn't
reason.
wait to graduate, but
He's 47. So that like it doesn't have that in here yet.
he's already at 47.
He's at 47 without it. So it'll be close to
72?
75, 72 grand on the year.
Imagine if he wins a tour championship. He could hit six
He
figures.
could
this
hit
year.
over 100,000 as a 17-year-old.
That man's going to get the bag.
He better.
He
And I
better
hope,
get the bag.
And I mean, he seems pretty loyal to Prodigy, so I think he'd be
he
willing
does
to
seem
like.
We'll represent.
I think he'd be willing to get a little less to stay with Prodigy, but
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I think that was
he's so good with that plastic.
That was the greatest Prodigy commercial I've ever seen in my life because
dude, he had-
I'm not a big Prodigy fan, but I was watching him throw those discs and I was like, wow, Prodigy just so reliable.
He makes
you know
some things
like
look good.
which is
Those
not
Bowling
ever what I would
Green
think.
D3s, man.
it's just like the Shoestrick era.
Yeah.
When Shoestrick was doing stuff with Prodigy, you just wanted Prodigy in your bag.
Yeah.
And watching Gannon do stuff with Prodigy, you just want it.
My friend who was watching it with me, he was just like, "What did he throw there?" I was like, "Oh, I think that might be the new FX4."
I've been wanting to
and
put
he was
Prodigy
like,
back
"Oh,
in the bag.
I need to try that. Do you guys have any of those in stock?" He's literally selling them on my couch.
If I can find some of the money stuff that I used to bag with from Prodigy,
Oh, that's the thing too, though. Is like their new stuff that's coming out. They're fixing a lot of the problems.
Yeah,
that, like,
they
kept
really
you with
are.
Prodigy.
good. Yeah,
They
feels
really
good.
are.
Like
Is
there's
Prodigy
a
on
lot
the
of
up?
things.
Are you so buy, sell, or hold Prodigy?
I'm buying
I'm
hard.
buying.
Because they also have
definitely.
Alden Harris, Isaac Robinson,
Their
Gavin
team-
Babcock.
yeah,
their
they're-
team's filthy and young.
It's so crazy how they
Filthy
literally
and young.
They literally
That should be
now
their new
have done
slogan.
this. They've done this like 3 times now, where they loaded up right at the beginning, lost everybody, kind of loaded up again. Had Dickerson still,
But this one feels like
but now they've loaded
this
up
feels
again.
different because they've loaded up young. Before they were like getting like Big Germ, Ricky, Yuli, like they're getting.
I'm pretty sure Alden's only 20.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Gavin,
Isaac's young too.
Yeah, Isaac I think is pretty fresh out of college as well.
And they're good. They're filthy. Isaac Robinson came in 6th place.
The Prodigy Boys are legit. We got to get like this could be like an off-season segment whenever we do like buy, sell, and hold for the companies, but get like average ratings of like teams and like age and try and like find like which teams are really the most stacked.
That's smart.
What did Alden finish?
He did okay.
So let me read you this. Alden Harris, 15th. Gavin Babcock, 12th. Isaac Robinson, 6th. Gannon Burr, 1st.
Oh, my God.
And they're all like...
Where'd Ezra Robinson finish? Because I high-key feel like he did okay.
I didn't realize Gavin did so
50.
well.
35th. Yeah,
like,
so young Prodigy
is Luke Humphrey's Prodigy?
is disgusting. No, I don't think so.
I thought
Maybe.
He is. I saw.
Yeah,
he came in 35th too.
Young Prodigy, but he's not that young. Young Prodigy
He's young.
is disgusting. Vino Makala.
Makala's also
He's
Prodigy.
also Prodigy, 28th.
Dang, dude.
That's what I'm saying. Young
Future's
Prodigy
bright.
is crazy.
Kevin Jones, 21st.
Yeah, and he's happy with it.
He's happy
He
with
played
it.
great.
He played
coming
great.
from
The people at
Prodigy's
Prodigy
looking good,
must be really nice people.
They are. They're very nice.
Because let's be honest, Prodigy discs don't keep people on Prodigy's team.
Well, if you
The
have
right
that,
ones.
Yeah, say if you have the right ones,
yes,
they would.
if you have the
If
right
you're
ones.
Gannon Burr, you're
But Prodigy
getting the good
discs
stuff.
aren't getting people to
Their
Prodigy's team.
new stuff might. Their new
Their
stuff just might.
Their new
Yeah.
stuff does feel
Before
good.
this
say-
year, I fully agree.
You're right.
I
I feel like my age in disc golf, we're the ones who feel iffy about Prodigy because we've been through the ugly stuff. You know,
the frustration with Prodigy back in the day was it was inconsistent. So like if you got the good stuff, it held up to anything.
Yeah, their
but
good
it was
stuff
tough
was some
to
of the
get some of
best.
the good stuff. But I think now they're kind of turning the corner, and
I hope so,
Prodigy's on the rise right now.
Prodigy's hardcore
Prodigy's
on the rise.
They're on the rise. This is what it felt like with MVP last year.
Yeah. Very similar.
Let's get it going. Let's get it churning.
Another impressive finish, obviously, Nicholas Antelope.
Yeah.
The kid's got a bright future. We've known it for a while. I don't like his form. I'm gonna just say it.
I didn't
don't
really
like
have
it.
a problem with it.
I don't like
It just
looking
makes
at
me
it.
uncomfortable.
It kind of looks like
But it
Maybe,
works.
watch
looks
it
like a
again.
spider
works.
is throwing a disc.
I
But
him out
it's
there.
similar. Like I don't like Mattio's form, but the dude is
love
insane.
Matteo.
Like he's so good.
I love
You
watching
You don't have to like
Matteo.
their form for them to be good.
Adio is such a
It's like
vibe.
I didn't like Leandro Barbosa, whatever his name was, jump shot.
That
But
sounds
the,
like a
but the
pirate.
dude was filthy. Remember him? He played for the Suns.
Barbosa?
Shot with like
Barbosa.
both hands.
I understand.
Yeah, could not stand his jump shot. But
I
he was
loved
dirty.
watching the disc leave his hand, but the whole run up it did bother me.
But what Nicholas did was he was just Mr. Consistent, and he made someone do something crazy to beat him, and Gannon just did it. And that's pretty much all that happened.
It's definitely
how old is Nicholas?
20,
he's
I
like
think.
20.
He looks like he's so young.
Going into 18, Philo said, well, we know one thing we do know is there's not going to be a champagne shower because neither of these guys can drink.
Yeah.
So he's got to be 20.
I mean,
If-
we had the two leaders for this tournament, both 20 and
They're
younger.
kids,
That is-
and they hung in there. I thought for sure I was like, those
They did
guys are
more
both
than hang
young.
in there.
And guess what? The vets in Paul and Calvin couldn't really make a charge, and the young guys they hung in there.
they were holding it. Their mental game.
It's insane.
Because
You
Nicholas,
think their mental game gets worse in the next few years,
No.
or
No.
do you because they
Definitely
could
not.
possibly
Gannon,
just have that young?
I would be terrified of Gannon right now.
but they
because
could just have that young
the bliss.
run everything, no
but you got to
consequences.
think the last
know.
player we saw that was like a prodigy like Gannon, right?
Was
That was
Eagle.
was Eagle. But at the time, Eagle couldn't win.
well, Paul
Eagle
kinda
had-
was too, actually.
Paul wasn't that young. He won
wasn't
his first
that
world
young.
at like 21. But yes.
Yeah, you're right. But,
But look what Paul did.
Yeah, you're right.
But the difference between Paul and Eagle is Paul at 21 was winning worlds, and he had a killer mindset. Eagle, when he was young, it took him a little bit to get that clutch gene.
Yeah,
Gannon just has
he
it.
has it. Yeah,
he does kind of.
Because like realistically, if you look through some of his finishes, it's not like he'll make some mistakes,
He's
but
not really it's usually the
he's
first
not
round that he
collapsing.
struggles. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can kind of just look at Gannon and see he's kind of got the it factor.
like all year
Yeah.
I've tweeted
You don't-
ice in his veins at
Yeah.
like 35 different
you
tournaments.
don't
I feel
bang.
like.
You're not banging 50 footers like that in a fourth round of a major with just no problem.
I
if,
did
if you don't
see-
have ice in your.
You're not
I
making
could
that putt on
see-
17 or getting up and down for birdie on 18 if you don't have it.
Yeah, he's insane.
I could see some beast mode in him because like he does have the clutch. You're right, because whenever he's got those putts, it's just he just
no
makes it
problem.
when he needs to make the putt.
He's
makes it.
the scariest thing. Yeah, the scariest thing about Gannon, like Eagle, and different from a lot of top guys. Like I wouldn't say Ricky or Paul even have this trait. Is that they are effortless disc golfers.
Yeah.
They look like they don't even have to try to get the disc out there.
He's so tall and lanky.
They've got that build to them, and yeah, they look effortless. I think Gannon is very calculated. I know people give him a bad rap for taking too much time. He didn't play slow at USDGC.
No, yeah, huge improvement there.
But I think he just is very. He's smart. I think he's a smart kid. Like the way he talks about disc golf and approaches things, I think he's smart. I'm telling you right now. Watch out. Watch out, disc golf, and get your checkbook out, Prodigy.
Yeah.
Get your checkbook out. I think he has an extension
I think he's
through
still
next
through
year,
next year.
And I hope he has a player option because I'd opt right on out of that thing.
If Prodigy's smart, they're
gonna
renewing him
extend
this offseason.
Yeah, if Prodigy's smart, they're going to sign him big.
Because right now, Prodigy's basically the only one that has a shot at him. I wouldn't
even let another company find his phone number if I were Prodigy. I would extend him big.
Right now he's through 2023. He signed an extension through 2023. If I'm Prodigy, I'm extending him this offseason, no doubt.
I would bet, and this isn't really Prodigy's fault because Gannon hadn't quite exploded really until this year, but I would bet his contract is incredibly underwhelming. Now, I'm sure he's done well with whatever the bonus structure is because this dude just won a major and has had a lot of top fives, but I hope they've got the money for it because he is worth a lot of money. It's tough because he's
marketable too. He's funny on camera.
He is marketable,
and he's got passion when he plays too.
Well, I would say if I'm Prodigy right now, and I think like the deal that he probably deserves, if you were to sign him, I think he shouldn't sign anything more than like 4 years max. I think he should really stick to like 3 years.
If I was Gannon, I'm going 2 years, and I'm demanding at least $500K over 2 years.
Yeah, I would agree with that. 2 years, 500,000 sounds about right.
Like that's if I'm Gannon, that's my minimum.
Ooh,
I need that.
That'll be the next thing to see with Gannon. Is that's the only test he hasn't passed yet? Is how well do I play with a big contract over my head?
Yeah,
because
that's true.
That kicks people in the butt.
I don't think it's.
I don't think it's
going
to phase him, but that kicks people in the butt. And also he is already making a lot of money for a 17-year-old.
As a 17-year-old, right now he's already playing without the stress of worrying about money. Yeah. Already, because he still lives at home.
Right.
His mom's taking him to a lot of these events.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of it. The money, it's not in a situation where he's like a 25-year-old and like the money's motivating him. Right now, he's motivated by he wants to be the best disc golfer in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
That doesn't change with a big check.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Now, as he gets older, obviously,
it's just the expectations. That'll be the key to.
But he already has a lot of expectations on him.
I know he puts pressure on himself. I don't think the money will make a difference.
He doesn't seem like the type of guy.
I think a big difference with those contracts is the player trying to meet the company standards or is the company trying to meet the player standards? Because as of right now, Gannon has a huge advantage because Prodigy is going to try to meet Gannon's standards.
Right.
So they're making up for what Gannon just did. However, if you sign a big contract and you haven't yet proved yourself possibly.
Like the Konner deal.
With Konner, she now has to step up to the plate, and it's a whole different kind of pressure.
I think that Gannon knows that, like, in his deepest desire, he wants to be the best player in the world. And I think that's what drives him, not the money.
Yeah.
And so to me, I don't like that type of player with that type of drive. It's similar to if you gave Paul the bag he has now in 2015. I think Paul's still a 6-time world champion. Because Paul in 2015, he was making really good money in disc golf in those years.
For disc golf, yeah.
Like in 2012, 2013, 2014. When he got to 2015, he was making the proverbial bag in disc golf at the time. And the dude still didn't finish outside the top 3 in 2015. Like, when you have that dog in you, you're not driven by money. You're driven by your taste to win.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the difference to me.
Gannon wants to win. And
when there's money on the line, like, you're winning $25,000, that can take someone who has the dog in them and make that dog a little hungrier. And as you know, hungry dogs run faster. So, someone who's, like, on the edge, like, they're a top 20 player, and they're like, dude, if I, like, look at this guy. This guy just finished, beat me week in and week. Like, let's look at Kyle Klein character, huh? Let's take Kyle Klein.
Yeah.
He made $31,000 this year. And then let's look at Joel Freeman right next to him.
Hey, I was almost right. Kyle Klein did almost come
Joel
back
Freeman,
for revenge.
$37,000.
He wasn't out of it.
So if I'm let me just pick someone a little bit down the list. Let's look at Ben Calloway. If I'm a Ben Calloway, I made $9,000 this year. Cashing.
Ooh.
I'm looking at a Kyle Klein or a Joel Freeman. I'm like, are they really that much better than me? Right. Like, what's the gap between me and them?
And it's a difference.
And the difference is
money.
like 20-some grand.
It's a lot of money.
And in Joel Freeman case, the difference is $30,000 a year in just tournament cash. And that doesn't have anything to do with bonuses or anything. Like, if I'm Benjamin Callaway, that's where money motivates me. Because, like, I'm not really in contention to win week in and week out. right?
Right.
I want to show up and perform, but I'm looking at a guy that, like, if they played a practice round together, Joel Freeman's better than Ben Callaway.
Significantly.
But it wouldn't be like, you'd watch him probably throw in a field, and
It's
it
not
wouldn't be
impossible
like,
for him to get
it
to
wouldn't
that
be
level,
a
though.
shocking, like, if I threw next to Joel Freeman, you're like, okay, Hunter, like, yeah, of course he made that much more
Ben
than you.
Callaway
You suck.
could beat Joel
But
Freeman.
Ben Callaway, you look at him and you're like, you can see it. So if I'm Ben Callaway and I believe in myself, that's where money motivates. It's like, I'm that close to being, 30 some grand a year guy. And like, so that's where the money motivates. But when you're Gannon Burr, money's not.
So here's my question, because Gannon, he's now checked that last final box.
He hasn't won a Pro Tour.
Well, he's checked the box of, can you win on the biggest stage? Answer, yes. And I think we all kind of knew this anyways, but he's for sure proved it now, because like that event at the beginning of the year, he really did everything he needed to win. He just got outplayed at the end. Yeah. So my question is, now that you know that, and Gannon looks as dangerous as anybody's ever been, if you had to right now make your prediction for Pro Tour points, like where are you putting Gannon for next season? Like,
next season?
Like, are you putting him at 1? It's hard not to.
I'm definitely putting him in top 3.
Because like the only reason he wasn't higher up this year is because he was missing wins, because his finishing place was insane.
Yeah.
I think I'm putting him probably 2. 1, I don't know if he'll get 1 over like a Rick or a Paul or a Calvin, or if Eagle's healthy, but I think it's hard not to put him at 2, 3 at the lowest.
It does feel like
I
that.
definitely think Gannon next season is on that top tier, because there's always that top tier of like the Paul, Rick, Calvin thrown in there, Dickerson at times was in there, Eagle's always in there. There is that top tier of players still.
Yeah, he's there.
I think Gannon's there.
Yeah.
And I think Matteo with a win or 2 is there. But Mattio's not there right now.
He can't win.
He can't win right now.
I've only got one more event in the year, and then that
But
worked out.
if Matteo wins the Pro Tour Championship, I don't think that changes your statement.
I don't think it does either, but people
Because,
will tell me it does.
Nathan Queen won last year, and I think it's safe to say
true.
Nathan Queen can't win on the Pro Tour.
Well,
I think that's a safe statement.
Well, he's hurt. We'll never know.
He is hurt right now.
Could have been a big season.
But
I like Nathan.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say at this point next year, Gannon Burr going into it has to be like one of the preseason favorites for Player of the Year.
Yeah,
he has to be.
That'll be another offseason.
Let's just look at his season.
Our preseason All-Americans. Are we doing that? We'll do that in the offseason at some point.
Like as the stretches come down,
way too early top 10.
Gannon's worst finish this year was 25th at Waco.
I believe
that was his worst finish.
I believe one more stat about Gannon too was that he's the first one to ever win this tournament on their second attempt.
Oh, like earliest attempt to win?
Yeah,
that's pretty insane.
Because this is only his second USDGC.
Well, Kaima won it in his first attempt.
What?
Was he to win the opening one?
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
and his second attempt probably, and his third. I don't know how many he won in a row.
Gannon.
But still, I mean, this is only his second time playing.
That is insane.
Gannon went 14th at Worlds, 6th at Green Mountain, 3rd at MVP, and then won USDGC. But like his worst finish all year is 25. Like he didn't finish outside the top 25.
And
this
that
year.
was an anomaly.
And
the Texas swing was weird.
He only finished outside the top 15 2 times.
He's good.
Yeah, he's insane.
Twice, 25th and 24th, and that was the Texas swing.
He's
that kind of
season,
destroyer of worlds next season.
Yeah, he's similar. Good. He's similar to like a Calvin of last year, where like you just every single time they're in the mix. Like they're just his consistency is insane. I remember the first time I saw him play, and I just remember thinking to myself, like, this guy just doesn't really miss lines badly. Like he always is either hitting the line or very close to it. Like his consistency is insane. He doesn't really shank shots. Obviously, the putt is deadly. I would say when his putt is on, who's out putting him? I don't think anybody is. Stud muffin.
Do you mind if I say some thoughts on the coverage?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So overall, the coverage was very good. I experienced USDGC in what felt like a real way. I really enjoyed watching it. So start off with that. There are very few negatives to the coverage. Some of the things I really, really liked, I liked the drone shots. I thought it was a really interesting mix-up on hole 7. I'm sorry. There was a drone shot over the tee pad. And they first switched to it, and it was right before Paul threw. And it was just like a not quite completely top down. It was a little bit back, but you were only seeing the tee pad. And I was like, okay, this shot's kind of a weird choice. Like, I can't see anything. And then he threw, and then it panned and followed the disc. Like, and you saw it go through the triple mando and everything. And I was like, never mind. I really like that shot. It just gave you like cool context for the hole. I liked that. I didn't like it whenever it was directly over top because you couldn't really tell what was going on with the disc. Yeah. But whenever it was a little bit back, I really liked those a lot because that was really cool. One thing I didn't really like was I didn't like how I just didn't like the way it looked whenever they were in the whole preview and they would just have like the T sign come from the side with like a little bit of a fade on the edge. Yeah, I just thought that looked like coverage from.
They're still trying to figure that out. That looks like
coverage from 2012.
Which one was this?
It's the whole previews.
The whole previews.
The map next to, and it's like kind of like.
It
kind of feels like Marty McFly coverage.
Exactly. It feels like it's from 2014. I just feel like they could have done that better because the graphics were incredible. Like they looked really, really good. But that was just I didn't like the way it looked. They obviously had their best cameraman on lead card because anytime they would cut to like Matty O's round or something, it would be like all over the place, and then you'd get the shot, and then it would like go back to all over the place. But I mean, I understand they're switching that stuff on the fly. It wasn't that big of a deal. It just made me laugh. It wasn't like it made it worse to watch. But the main thing that bothered me the most, Ian Anderson. I'm not historically a Giant fan. He won me over. I like him. I liked him just fine. He didn't do anything wrong. I felt like. Hey, it looks like he got in some like pretty good shape. He looks good right now. He's got a good personality. It sounds like. I heard him call out almost no discs really in that final round. I did not notice it at least.
Innova had a hand in that.
They might have.
Yeah, that is true.
At Vegas they did.
Yeah. That is true. But yeah, I liked him. I had no problems with him. Did not like Philo.
Mm-hmm.
I used to like watching Philo back in the day play just because he had a different.
They're rocks, man.
He had a good personality or whatever. I did not like him on commentary. I thought he was way too casual.
I've always liked a more spirited color guy. Like that's why I like Doss in color commentary because I don't know if you look at like a lot of the broadcast relationships in pro sports, like a lot of times you have the color commentary guy needs to be the guy that brings almost energy to the booth because play-by-play can only do so much. Color guy, like Tony Romo on the CBS broadcast. Jim Nantz is Jim Nantz, but then Tony Romo comes in, Jim, blah, 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 blah. Like they're probably going to, like, that's the guy who brings the energy. So I see what you're saying.
I just felt like I like there being some, like, I'm totally down with there being emotion in commentary. I feel like I only got one emotion from Philo, and that was, oh, that's crazy, man. Didn't see that back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't throw that anymore. Oh, man, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah. It's not.
Oh, he's only 17.
Just not quite up to Scott. Like
he was just way too casual, and also it just didn't sound like he just wasn't really giving me any information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like he was kind of.
I think
it was a waste.
A lot of people liked him at the beginning because when the commentators were just getting started, a lot of them were learning. Makes sense, and that's why we were a lot of times frustrated with them. And so the ones who had the most energy, like a Nate Doss, were going to make the most mistakes. Mm-hmm. So Philo made not a lot of mistakes because he was so laid back. But now now as the other ones have gotten better, you're kind of realizing what is he really adding to this broadcast?
Yeah.
Because before it was like he's not taking away from the broadcast, other people are. Now it's like, well, no, they're adding to the broadcast.
Yeah. So you need people
now,
to add.
like. We need people to add to the broadcast.
I felt like Ian did a good job. And
will they ever
get
rid of him? Probably not.
Yeah,
because that's just not how this works.
I'll be curious next year what the commentary team looks like because it looks like they threw a lot at the wall this year.
Yeah,
and Siri just started going off.
I hope that got picked up. Here, it's gonna say it again.
That's
sorry. My Alexa reminds me every day to take a massive dump on Trevor's desk at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, so we got to get on the podcast.
Yeah,
Connor's got some.
I
heard from Brian.
I'm not gonna cut to my angle for a while.
Earhart that like there was decisions that were going to be made as far as like. He was going to ask for certain roles, and other people I feel like there's probably going to be a shakeup.
Well, it seems like every offseason they set the lineup and they stick to the lineup.
Yeah,
like it seems like this year they had a clear schedule and they stuck to that schedule. And so I'm curious next year what's the schedule going to be. But that's more offseason topics. Let's go ahead. We've been on USDGC a long time.
Yes,
it was a long episode. Let's go ahead and talk through the points real quick.
Oh shoot, it is a long episode.
Yeah, let's talk through the points real quick. I gained 6 points for FPO. I believe it was having Henna in the right spot. Thanks, Nolan. Nolan got me 6 points there, so I'm at 148.5. Konner got 6 MPO for picking Gannon to win, 4 FPO for picking 2 of the top 3, and his dark horse, Fly On, Mr. Barry Schultz.
Oh, yeah.
Took that down for him. So Konner got 14 points.
So bad for me.
Went up to 118. Trevor got 2 points MPO, 2 points FPO for 104 going into the Pro Tour Championship. The Pro Tour Championship, the way we're going to do it, like they're comebacks. There's comebacks that can happen. So this is far from over, but it's Konner extended his lead on Trevor a little bit.
I think we might want to save power rankings until the Grippies and make it part of the Grippies.
Yeah, that's a great idea. The final power rankings will be a part of the Grippies. We're going to go into Trevor's trivia. Before we do that, we got to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's episode. Today's episode is brought to you by True Classic. It's sports season, baby, and our sponsor, True Classic, has everything you need to make the most of that lineup. Whether you have abs of steel or a soft cream-filled center, me, finding the right t-shirt can be terrible. Most t-shirts are too tight in all the wrong places or way too big and boxy, but not True Classic. This is the brand behind the softest, flattering, and most comfortable t-shirt of the year. Athletes may have jerseys, but we have True Classic. True Classic is the one-stop shop for your favorite casual crew necks, polos, and activewear, and I'm telling you, they give you all the expensive brands out there a run for their money. These are the uniform you need in your closet. They do the styling, you do the wearing. It's just that simple. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men get their fit on at an affordable price, so we want to hook you up with some True Classic. For a limited time only, get 25% off with the code GRIPLOCKED at trueclassic.com. I personally just used this code.
It's a heck of a deal.
Recently to get some shorts because I wanted to try out their shorts. I've been wearing the heck out of them. I've been running in them. I've been playing disc golf in them.
I think I'm gonna check out the joggers now that it's getting cold.
Yeah, the joggers are probably a big play too. The shorts even have like a back zipper pocket for your wallet.
Ooh,
so when I was at USDGC, it made it super easy to have my wallet on me without my front pockets. I hate carrying everything in my front pockets because it looks weird on shorts when you got your wallet, your keys, and your phone.
With the athletic material, it like stretches
around.
Yeah, but this, you slide it in that back pocket, zip it, you know it's good to go. Also handy for going on runs. You can put I put my car key in the back pocket and zip it up, and I know it's not going anywhere, but it's also not clanking against my thigh. So shorts, that's not what this ad read's about. The shorts on True Classic, I highly recommend. They're extremely comfortable. The t-shirts we've already talked about, they're comfortable too. In general, guys, you're wearing the wrong clothes. It's time to level up. Highlight your greatest assets with your t-shirt that you can confidently throw on and throw in. Winky face anytime. True Classic makes great quality clothes for real guys. You'll get that perfect fit and the softness you always wanted from the sandpaper excuses for a t-shirt you're probably wearing right now. Shots freaking fired. Do us all a favor. Show off your arms with the activewear crew necks. Ooh. They're sun, sweat, and stink wicking. Plus, they look amazing. And are you worried about sizing? True Classic leaves no man behind. For the bigger boys out there, there's tall and XXL sizing. And you may even get more reps in with True Classic because when you look good, you feel good. True Classic for the win. So, guys, don't drop the ball. Upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com with the code GRIPLOCKED. Free shipping is included on purchase over $100. That's 25% off. trueclassic.com with the code GRIPLOCKED.
I'm pumped.
All right, it's time for the fan favorite segment, Trevor's Trivia.
All right,
Trevor's Trivia.
This one's pretty quick, but I think it'll be a fun one. It'll be nice and easy. So, what I've got here is the course stats for. They don't have the all rounds course stats yet.
Okay.
Shame on you. So we're just gonna go round 4 because that makes sense anyways. Because Konner watched all of round 4 and so did I, and so did Hunter. So it makes sense. So we're gonna do. Be real right now.
Don't worry about me, man.
Are you being real?
You just keep doing the Trevor's Trivia.
Anyways, so the way this is going to work, I've got for round 4, the holes that on average played the hardest and easiest. You're each going to guess. We're going to start with which holes played the hardest, and whoever guesses the one that actually played the hardest of the ones you're guessing wins. If we tie between the easiest and hardest, then we'll do a tiebreaker of some sort. So we'll start. Okay. Which hole, round 4, was playing the hardest, Hunter?
Which hole,
relationship
round 4,
to par.
Relationship to par was playing the hardest. I'm going to say hole number. My heart wants to say 3 because I don't think there's a lot of birdies.
It's tough though because there wasn't a lot of OB either.
Yeah, but
it's probably a lot of pars.
There was a lot of par. I know there was a lot of pars.
That is a tough one because then you get the holes on the back that have all the OB. But they're also playing as hazard.
Do I go with my heart?
Konner, do you know?
I'm going with hole 13.
Oh, dang it. That was literally what I was going to say.
Get wrecked, son.
I think it's I want to say 13 as well because that's what it felt like the lead card did the worst on. That's definitely when Gannon fell apart the most. I was gonna say 13. All right, then I'll switch it up. What's the whole? Is it hole 11? That is the one with the bushes on the right.
That's 11.
I'll say hole 11.
Well, both of you were pretty far off.
Okay.
13 was more difficult than 11. Hole 13 played plus 0.19 strokes over par.
That's actually that's a lot closer to par.
Then you had hole 2, hole 17, hole 12, and hole 3 was the hardest hole.
Hole 3 was the hardest.
Playing is 0.36 over par.
Interesting.
Hole 11 only played 0.01 strokes over par.
It's because the green on that hole still makes it.
It's because it was a hazard.
No one was birdieing hole 3. Like, you just weren't birdieing.
But on 11, the thing was, too, if you threw a drive out of bounds, you could still get up and down for par.
Trevor did the thing where he talked me out of it.
I did. All right, well, Hunter gets that point.
That's dirty because you know I knew it,
now
and you talked me out of it.
It's true, but you also had a lot of options in between when you picked. So
that's true.
Because, like, 12 was freaking hard. People were taking big numbers on 12.
At 13, just like with that drive, I saw people mess up on 13 a lot. So just it swayed in my decision.
Now we're going to easiest. Konner, you can lead off this time.
Easiest. I'm going to have to say, I guess I don't have to say it. That's crazy. I want to say hole 1 because I think it's the most birdied. But, again, I don't think a lot of people bogey hole 1. Give me 1 second. All right, for the sake of going with the gut, I'm going to stick to hole 1 as easiest hole.
Hunter.
I'll just go hole 9.
Hole 1 was the third easiest hole.
Okay.
Hole 9 was the second easiest.
Oh, get ready. No!
Hole 1 played 0.34 strokes under par. Hole 9 played 0.42 strokes under par. And hole 10, easiest hole because of all the eagles.
I was thinking hole 9 because where the drop zone was, there shouldn't really be worse than a bogey.
Correct.
And so I was just like, you can't really mess hole 9 up. Which hole 1 you can't really mess up. But 1, there's not a lot of people birdie it because the pressure of starting the tournament.
Yeah.
I saw a shocking amount of people 3-putt on hole 1 because of the pressure.
Oh my gosh, chase card on final round hole 1. I mean, it was
Kyle Klein 3-putted.
You still picked it as your hardest, man?
We did see a lot of birdies,
but
too.
Yeah. I feel like that was an anomaly.
Hole 9, I just felt like hole 9, just because of where the drop zone was, it just wasn't an option to blow up.
I mean,
early.
neither one of us had dumb picks. They were the third and second easiest.
Yeah, hole 10.
Mine was more dumb.
Hole 10, but hole 10, I was just swayed too much of what I saw. I saw Calvin take a 5 or 6 or 7. He took a 7, didn't he? Calvin took a 7 on that hole.
Number.
Yeah, he did because he lost 5 strokes to Nicholas on it. No, to Gannon on it. So I was swayed too much of what I saw. All right, well, last week, immediately following our podcast release, basically, the PDGA
during the podcast.
The PDGA sent out an email saying, hey, you're going to get an email that's a survey that is going to basically gauge opinions on transgender players in FPO. The survey we got did that for like a page.
And we knew we were going to get the survey. We had been forewarned that a survey would be coming.
Yes.
Just to give some context.
Yeah, and so you get the survey the next day. And let's start off here. First off, I don't think that the best way to make this decision is to survey the masses. First and foremost. Because the decision on transgender players in FPO should be based on science and that alone. Like, it should just be based on, look at the facts. Let's see what the facts tell you. Base it. Because no matter what happens, someone's gonna be upset, no matter what happens. So polling the masses and deciding who's the least upset, which I don't think that's what they were doing, but you could see where you'd think they were doing that. That doesn't really make sense to gauge anything in the decision. And the PDGA medical committee kind of came out, someone from it, and said that's not what we're doing. This survey isn't really for us. We already have our science stuff. We know what we're doing. So that was kind of a weird one. But then the questions on the survey made you kind of be like, what is the survey really for?
Yeah.
Because if the survey came out and it said, hey, this is a general demographic survey. We want to get opinions on your issue, on this issue. We also just want to know what is our demographic? Where do the players of the PDGA stand?
Basically. Then
I would have took the survey and I'd be like, this makes sense. Some of the children questions were still weird. How do you answer this question?
Yeah, those were weird.
But in general, I'd been like, okay, that makes sense. But the issue was it was posed to me, at least how I read it, was I'm about to get a survey that's just getting my opinion on transgender players in FPO.
Well, here's what it comes down to. The PDGA knows that the survey is going to be probably one of their most attended surveys ever, because usually I'm hand up when a PDGA survey comes through, I'm ignoring it. However, they know in their hearts people are going to get after this survey because they want to be able to be heard. So they're thinking, wouldn't this be a great time to really get a feel for our demographic and whatever info we want to know about our following, because we know it's going to be one of the most replied surveys we've ever had. Hence the questions.
Well, because like the first
that's what it feels like to me. There's multiple reasons why the questions probably went the way they did, but that's probably one of them.
The first few pages made a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
Like it was asking you things that all pertain to the main issue and asked you like your education level, general stuff about you to help. It all made sense. And then you get to like the next page and it just immediately goes like, basically, do you lean left or right? Like, are you on this side of the scale? It's extremely liberal. This side's extremely conservative. Where do you place yourself on the scale? How many times do you go to church?
And there's no neutral.
No, well,
you have to be swayed.
It was 0 to 7, so 3 was 1, 2.
No, you had to pick a side.
Yeah, you have to pick a side.
Yeah.
No, yeah. You had to pick a side.
Wait.
No,
that's not true, because you could be 0 or 7, so you could be in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Well, is that even true? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you had to pick a side.
Yeah.
What?
Because 3 is a little more left.
Yeah,
4 is a little more right.
If it was 1 to 7.
It's because it wasn't 1 to 7.
Yeah, if
that's
it was
right.
1 to 7, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Dang.
How many times you attend church?
That's brutal.
And then it goes to like, are you sexist? Is essentially what I'm calling the next section. Basically, like, are there professions that are more suitable for men? Does it bother me more to see a woman who's pushy than a man who's pushy? The initiative of courtship should come from the man. Like, wait, now you get like, where are these questions coming from? Because now, like, it doesn't have anything to do with the original issue. And then, it goes into worldview and morals. Like, this country would have fewer problems if there were more emphasis on traditional family values. The newer lifestyles are contributing to the breakdown of society. And then it goes to, these are the most confusing questions to me. Because, like, those questions, like, it was, like, asking you where you stood, and it was, like, strongly disagree to strongly agree, and in the middle was, like, neither agree or disagree. These, it made you pick one or the other if you were answering. And it was like, what's more important for a child to have, obedience or self-reliance? And it's like, why can't they have both? Which I guess obedience and self-reliance you can kind of see.
I understand.
But then it was like
that there's like psychological.
You can kind of see obedience or self-reliance. Like
they're
those
asking
are at least
which
close.
they're asking which is more important, so I can understand.
With every question, it's very obvious
now,
what they're trying to.
But now
get.
this one's curiosity or good manners.
They're very pointed questions.
And it's like,
so they want you to say. Okay, I'm not going to go any further.
Yeah. Well, but like curiosity or good manners, the tough part is like, I feel like most parents would want their kid to have a good imagination and be curious.
Right.
And they would also want their kid to be good
It's definitely
mannered.
a trap question, but I understand which conclusion they're going to draw from your answer.
Exactly. But it's because like the next one's considerate or well behaved.
And I also I also understand what they're going to draw from that.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I'm saying like a lot of these questions.
Every question is basically the same question, repeated in different ways.
There was a lot of speculation online as well that what some PDGA members were assuming, and you can see where they would get this assumption, is basically they're like, I feel as though if you answer pages 3 on a certain way, then your answers to these first pages are going to be thrown out because it's basically going to be like
they're just giving themselves.
Obviously, these people are sexist.
They're giving the excuse
blah,
people
blah,
to say,
blah.
"Oh, well, of course they think that because they think that because they're sexist."
I would like to
how I
say
thought-
I would like to say that this survey is going to be reviewed by an institutional review board allegedly. So
No, it was pre-reviewed.
it was
It
pre-reviewed.
gets approved.
So
the
results
results are going straight to the PDGA.
Yeah. So that okay.
Yeah, no, it was pre-reviewed.
Forget that.
Basically, the questions were approved by an institutional review board to make this like a board-certified thing. But, because then there's like, how far do you agree or disagree? And there's more political. The majority of it was political, essentially. Which, what I think is, essentially, it was more to me, like you were saying, like the PDGA, most of it was just like a demographic. How I took it is the PDGA, most of the time, never wants to be the bad guy in any situation. They always want to paint themselves in the light of the hero and stuff. So how I took it is they wanted to just know their audience so that they could paint themselves in whatever light.
In fairness, the PDGA is supposed to be represented by the people. So if their motive was, this is where most of our demographic is, we should align with them, I suppose that is, kind of the right track.
Well, no,
I don't think
I
that's
disagree,
the motive, though.
because
it is not supposed to be represented by the people.
They are, but as the people, we vote in board of directors.
Yeah.
Similarly to you vote in politicians and representatives that take that, like, when we vote at that board of directors, we are entrusting you, the people we vote for, to make these decisions.
Well, the problem, but the nominees,
Why are you coming back
we
to
have
us?
nothing to do with the nominees, though. Like, there's not a very long process to get to the people we have to vote on. So it's pretty constricted. It's pretty bottlenecked. Like, they give us like 10 people to choose from.
But how do you get to those 10 people?
There's no primary. I never.
I feel like you can just throw your name in the hat.
Then who picks them?
No one. We do. We vote. I think only 10 people.
No, they post a certain amount of people.
Yeah, but I think like if I could write to him and be like, hey, I want to run for board of director this year. And then I would just be one of the nominees. I'm almost positive. I'm almost positive.
Maybe I don't know the process very well.
But regardless, I still think when it comes to this topic, transgenders and FPO, asking the masses of people who have opinions, and majority of those opinions are based on feelings.
Yeah.
Both sides, the majority of it is based on feelings.
Yeah.
Asking those people, hey, how do you feel about this? And then making a decision that's going to affect the FPO field however you think it might affect it, one way or the other. This decision will affect the FPO field. Basing it on feelings of or people's opinions of the masses, not the way to do it.
Well, yeah,
because like this is a scientific decision,
right? It's not
so you look at the stats and be like,
yeah.
The question the PDGA essentially in my head has to ask is: we are placing in place some form of standard that player A has to meet this form of standard to be able to play in FPO.
Yeah.
What should be is scientifically, does this standard make it where there's not an advantage when player A gets to FPO?
Right.
That should be the only thing this decision is based on.
Until you have that, there will always be a counter argument. Until you finally have the trump card, this is our research. It has been proven, and this is why we're making this decision. And until you have that to base your decision off of, because right now it's what they're trying to. What I'm saying is
like no matter what, there's going to be a counter argument. You could have all the backing in the world, and someone's going to be upset.
Well, no, somebody will be upset either way. I'm just saying, like, if you don't even have that, you really have a weak. You're gonna have a weak argument.
Up to this point, I was chill with it until last week when we got that. When we saw the email where it's like,
there's not really anything checked.
Because then other people were like, well, if you switch from MPO and FPO, you do have to submit. You know how easy it is to create a PDGA account
under a different name.
Which you would be under, like
that's the easiest thing.
Okay,
ever.
Yeah, I have to
just start playing. You just start playing in a different state. Nobody would ever know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and or just go straight to the Pro Tour.
Yeah,
and and so that argument I understand it, but it's kind of null because I could go create a new PDGA account right now.
If I wanted to go from like Pro to Am or whatever, because like I have a Pro status right now, I've accepted cash. I could just create another profile.
Now, obviously, you'd be cheating to do that.
Yeah,
but you'd also be cheating to not meet the standards the PDGA put out there.
It's not that hard.
But it's relying on integrity.
Yeah,
the whole time. Yeah. So you can see where if enough money's on the line, and someone's sitting there just like, dang, like I don't even have to meet these standards to sign up. Like,
yeah, because we're talking about a lot of money. Remember those dollar amounts we were talking about earlier that players have won.
Yeah.
This is no longer like, oh, they're going to take a few $1,000 playing local events. No, you can get to the highest stage and make a good living.
So that's what I'm saying is like this decision shouldn't be something that's made on feelings of the majority, wherever the majority falls one way or the other. This decision should not be made on those feelings of your body. This should be made purely on stats. And it sounds like the medical committee knows that. So then it raises the question of what's the motive behind this survey? Which is the question I'm asking.
Yeah, that's why I was starting to feel like...
What was the point of the survey if we know now the medical committee has come out and basically said, we already got everything we need to...
Well, maybe the medical committee didn't agree with...
Well, the medical committee is recommending to the board of directors, this is what we think how the policy should happen. And then the board of directors is the people who actually make the rules to put the policy into place. So the medical committee, though, is basically, they're not making the final decision, but they're getting all the information. And they're like, we're not using the survey. We're using science. Mm-hmm. So then it's just the board of directors going to be like, okay, well, whatever the medical committee says, who cares? Let's look at the survey. Or like,
what kind of background does the medical committee have on the PDGA?
I don't know. I know at least the person who posted on Instagram is a doctor.
I would hope so.
Yeah. And then follow all of that up surrounding everything with the survey. And the dude that sent it out is the dude that was the jerk move comment and said Paige was getting roasted behind the scenes last year. What is that dude still doing in the PDGA?
Yeah.
He verbally came after 2 touring pros on a podcast last year. And the only reason was because he's stepping down as the board of directors president. And so the PDGA was like, well, what are we going to do? He's stepping down, blah, 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 blah. And then this guy's still in a position of enough power to put together this survey and send it out to every PDGA member.
Yeah.
Like he still holds that much power at the PDGA. And I saw him at USDGC. He was out walking around there. And not as a fan. Like he was with the PDGA walking around there. Mm-hmm. I'm like, the fact that the PDGA has someone that high up, the president of the board of directors at the time, talk about the face of FPO, Paige Pierce, at the time. And literally, only reason that he didn't like Paige Pierce was because she called them out on their crap they were doing at USWDGC last year and was like, guys, like, you wouldn't do this if it was MPO. Hello, wake up. And he was like, well, she got roasted behind the scenes, though. Like, yeah, I know publicly it didn't seem like, but what's behind the scenes? The board of directors is what this guy's talking about the PDGA. He's like, she got roasted. And he's still involved enough? Yeah. Like, to me, that shows the PDGA is like, all right, well, like, he'll step down, but he can have like this like background role. And it's important enough role that we'll trust him to put together this survey and send it out to every single PDGA member.
So the medical committee is mostly MDs. The chair is Seth Muncy, who's I think he's got an exercise science degree, which he's not a doctor, but that's relevant.
It's medical at least.
That's relevant to certainly this situation. Like exercise science would be a big part of it. So I'd be curious to talk with them and just see like where they're at and like what they think. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna just read what the
this whole thing is just gonna keep unraveling. Like this is the PDGA almost seems like sometimes it seems like they just want to make it go away. It's not gonna go away. Mm-hmm. You know, you're gonna have to really put your foot down publicly multiple times. So like, I don't know.
This is how the survey was presented. Dear valued PDGA member, on Wednesday, October 5th, PDGA members will receive an email with a link to a survey that is part of a university research study and has been approved by Institutional Review Board. With the results from the survey, the researchers hope to learn more about transgender people's participation in sport. I felt like that was like two questions.
Okay, so that doesn't imply that they're going to use that to make a decision.
It does not. The fact that every PDGA member was kind of like getting it implies that like they hope to learn. You can see where people were drawing that conclusion.
And it sounds like it was a study for a university.
But why was it sent to every PDGA member?
Because that was I don't know.
And it says the summary. Oh, this is the second part. Sorry, this is important. The summary results of the survey may be used to inform PDGA policies.
I think the timing of it is the most questionable thing there. Because, like, yeah, it's not unreasonable that a university would be curious about the subject and think, oh, the PDGA members would be a great, control, like a great group to use for the study. But the timing of everything that's been going on.
Well, and it straight up says it may be used to inform PDGA policies.
Well, there you go.
Which, like, to me, again, goes back to the opinion of the masses should not matter to this. It doesn't matter. Oh, well. There's a survey. There was some obvious outrage towards it
we'll see if
from the
anything
PDGA
happens
members
in the off season.
I'll be very curious. They're supposed to make their decision come January. I think they're supposed to, like, going into next season, they're supposed to have an updated policy on transgender people's participation in FPO, whatever that policy means. Hopefully a good place to start would be that it's actually checked. That's a good starting point. Let's start there and kind of move from there. Because I thought we were there. And then, yeah, we'll just see what comes of it all. I'm curious if they're ever going to like let this information public, like the survey results at all. Like, probably not. I mean, they don't have to by any means. We voluntarily took the survey, so it's not like we're owed that information. But I'd be curious to see it. I think everyone would be. Who wouldn't be? But yeah, there it is. That's Grip Block for this week. Tomorrow we'll have a preview of the Pro Tour Championship, and that should be a great time. Nevin Park, the official end of the season, is next Monday will be the last recap show we do of the year.
Sad.
There's some Silver Series events going on this offseason that are like wraparound events, so we'll have some stuff to talk about here and there.
Big Money Skins.
Big Money Skins is the week after. There's definitely things to talk about, and the offseason episodes are my personal favorite. Yes. They're very, very entertaining. I have a lot of fun doing them, and also you never know what's going to happen move-wise. Mm-hmm. Last offseason promised to be very boring, and then next thing you know, the Ricky leak happened, and we became Disc Golf TMZ.
Ricky leaks. That's so electric. Funny. It's like WikiLeaks, but Ricky leaks.
Yeah. So we've already got some people telling us some things about this off season. I'm not going to leak any of them this year. I learned my lesson last year, but things could get interesting this off season. That's all.
Paul Macbeth to Mercedes.
Dude, I said we weren't going to leak it. Dang it! All right. Well, now you heard. We'll see you next week. Nope. We'll see you tomorrow.